In this final video of the layout module, we're going to revisit those 7 core ideas of the verbal to visual mindset and look specifically at how those ideas relate to layout. Let's get into it. Let's start with the zoomed out idea of your goal as a compass. One thing to think about here is, what will you be doing with your notes after you've taken them? Think about how each of the individual note-taking sessions contribute to your larger goal, and how you might be able to approach layout in a way that best facilitates whatever follow-up work you'll be doing to use those notes as a way to work toward your goal. Next, let's look at the zoomed-in idea of intent as a filter. As you think about layout, one of your goals should be to not clutter up the page with too many details. The way you avoid that clutter is by filtering out those inessential details. And in order to do that filtering well, you need to know what you want to get out of that particular note-taking session. That's what I mean by intent. So by filtering out some ideas, and by concisely expressing those ideas that you do want to get down, you'll make the job of laying out those ideas a whole lot easier. I think that the 2 ideas of play the long game and experiment go really well together when thinking about layout. You can experiment with different approaches to layout over time, try out different templates and different organic approaches, and even different page sizes until you find the right number of constraints that work well for you. And speaking of constraints, let's look at the 50-50 rule that states that taking good visual notes depends 50% on your skills and 50% on the constraints that you set up for yourself. I think that the newer you are at visual note-taking, then the more constraints you need. So I would suggest starting with a more structured approach to layout, one that's heavy on the constraints, and then over time you can move toward a more organic approach as your skills build and as you find out what type of layout styles best fit your needs. As you seek flow in your visual note-taking sessions, keep in mind this suggestion. If you're spending more than a few seconds deciding where on the page to put the current idea that's coming in, then you need more structure, because that time spent worrying about where to put that idea will pull you out of flow as it pulls your attention away from the material that you're taking in. And finally, as you have seen throughout this entire module, you can break down the topic of layout into these factors: the size and dimension of the page that you're writing on, the techniques that you use for connecting and separating ideas, the ability to decide up front the way you'll balance text and image, as well as adding some degree of structural constraints to the page before sitting down to take notes. Your task now is to bring all of these ideas together as you develop your own approach to layout. To help you do that, to help you figure out your overall approach to layout, I've included some activities below. Give those activities a try, and then I will see you in the next module. Till then.